guys, welcome back to Road 237, and sadly my last video was a rant on a film by the great Italian godfather of gore, Lucio Fulci's Demonia. I decided to follow it up with another Italian film that I watched recently, and it's an Italian film that I really enjoyed. I often do really enjoy Italian films, especially of this genre, which is something else I haven't done in a while. The Italian Amazon Cannibal subgenre. And this is one done by one of the kings of that subgenre as well, Ruggero Deodato. This is 1977's Jungle Holocaust. Now, of course, just so I can mispronounce its original title, Ultimo Mondo Cannibal, which in English translates to Last Cannibal World, which is what this movie is during the opening credits. But it was also released under the titles Cannibal, Jungle Holocaust, and The Last Survivor. It came out in 1977, and it was actually going to be directed by Umberto Lenzi. And it was going to be a follow-up to his 1972 film, Man from Deep River, which is actually the progenitor of the entire Amazon Cannibal subgenre. So it was going to be a follow-up to the original film, but instead it ended up being directed by Ruggero Deodato, sort of as a precursor to his film, which became the king of Amazon Cannibal films, Cannibal Holocaust. And I only say precursor because he did that after. It's not really related in any way other than Amazon Cannibals. It takes place in a different part of the world, different story. But I enjoyed this film, and it's not exactly the same as Cannibal Holocaust. One came out before, but it's not like Cannibal Ferox, where it is very much the same. Or even Bruno Mattei's Mondo Cannibal, which serves as like a prequel follow-up for the 2000s. Okay. There was a Cannibal Holocaust 2 as well, but this is more like, instead of trying to do like the documentary crew and trying to treat it like it's real, even though this does that as well, this is more of like a escape survival film. Like if you take the second half of Hostel, or like the Christian Bale film Rescue Dawn, it's about a guy who is taken captive by an Aboriginal tribe, indigenous tribe, whichever one works. He manages to escape, and then he has to find his way through the jungle, evading them to make it back to his plane. And this does have animal deaths in it that are genuine, similar to Cannibal Holocaust, but this one seems to be more animal on animal violence, more so like nature. Yes, the tribes people do put animals in these predicaments, like bait or whatever, but it's easier to watch than like the people killing the animals in Cannibal Holocaust. Basically what the story is you have this oil prospector who, and let's see if I can pull the cast up, who's played by Massimo Foschi. I'm probably going to mispronounce all these names, which he actually did a lot of voice dubbing for, I think, a lot of like the Star Wars stuff for over in Italy. But as far as movies, he was in Holocaust 2000. He was in it's taking me a while because this tablet is probably close to death. What's this last one I'll click on? Oh, that's an adventure film. Okay. Anyway. Oh. But I do know that the other guy has appeared. Ivan Rasimov. He's appeared in several horror and exploitation films. Like, he was in All Colors of the Dark, which is a giallo. Man from Deep River. Spasmo. Last Cannibal World. Shock by Bava. The Humanoid. Eat Alive, also by Umberto Lenzi. The Atlantis Interceptors by Ruggiero Deodato. Oh, this is a science fiction film. Did films with Sergio Martino. Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have a Key. Very well-known giallo film that I need to get my hands on. So, he's a guy that's definitely known within the genre and subgenres. And also, Mimi Lai, if I pronounce her name correctly. But anyway, I'm sorry if I'm stuttering through this video too. Rolf and Robert. Rolf is the Ivan Rasimov, and Robert is Massimo Foschke. And it takes place in the jungle of Mindanao, if I pronounce that correctly as well. I'm terrible with these. They're with this other guy, and I think this guy's wife or girlfriend. They have a rough landing. They get out of the plane, and they find this rotten corpse. Well, I think they're supposed to meet these people at this sort of camp. They get there, the camp's wrecked. They find the corpses. Eventually, so they go back to the plane. The woman has to go to the bathroom. She leaves. They hear her scream. The next day, which there is a creepy scene, kind of like Jurassic Park. They're sitting in the plane, and you see one of the natives kind of poke his head up through the window and then go back down. But the next day, they're the three that are left walking through the jungle. There's this trap where there's like this dirt wrecking ball with a bunch of sticks that hits the guy that was with them, which I think he knocks off a wig. I don't know if you can see that, but he's got like a piece of tape on his forehead. I don't know if he was wearing a wig or had a comb over or what. But eventually, Rolf and Robert make a bamboo raft, and then they hit rapids. Robert thinks Rolf, it sounds like it says Ralph, but it's spelled Rolf here, has been killed or drowned by the rapids. Eventually, he's found by the natives and is taken. You get this long scene of him sort of in this cave where they rip his clothes off. You get a lot of nude male genitalia. They even take his watch. The guy that takes his watch kind of looks like Richard Ramirez tries eating his watch. Once they completely strip him naked, they notice he's... they made a point to point it out. They realize he's uncircumcised, and then they start looking at theirs, and they are. So they start doing like the but they know he's the guy from the plane, so they think he could fly. So there's like this part with this weird looking bird. They hoist it. They tie this rope around his waist. They hoist him up super high, and then they just kind of let him drop. Then they catch it the last second, which probably hurts like hell. They keep him kind of prisoner. Like there's this sort of bamboo gate but then it goes way down into this tight cavern that's way high up. And he's got this eagle and that bird with the big beak are down there as well. They keep tossing food down to them, but if he wants some, he's got to try to get it past the bird that keeps pecking at him. Some boys, young boys, show up. They piss on him. Eventually, he is able to escape. The girl, BB she's kind of like a Nova from Planet of the Apes. In a weird way. That's also what a cinema snob called her. He's at the gate, and he's trying to ask her, for water, for food, and to help, but she doesn't understand. She just reaches in, gives him a hand job. It's like, not quite what I was asking for, but thanks. Soon he learns that the reason why he's kept there is because they use it's kind of where they keep their bait for their food. So like they grab the eagle and they tie it to this thing. Crocodile gets it. And the crocodile death is really the most like Cannibal Holocaust death in it. It is probably the equivalent to the giant turtle death. Because, I mean, they're stabbing it in the head and it's writhing. I'm gonna give a warning before this, because and then for the rest of the film. I should have done it earlier, but I didn't. So, animal cruelty warning here. They stab it in the head and it's kind of writhing and jerking. And they start cutting down its back. And I mean, they get almost down to the tail and that thing's still kind of kicking. Split like its skin open, turn it inside out. They rip the bird out of its stomach. And that's when Robert is like, okay, I'm here for bait. And so that's when he manages to escape. Which I don't remember exactly how he does it, but I'm just gonna call her Nova. But Poulon, I guess is her name. He ties like a grapevine around her hands and he takes her prisoner or hostage. He tries to get her to show him food and water, but she doesn't understand. Eventually, he does rape her. And then she becomes useful to him. Okay. Like right after he rapes her. Which he even goes swimming to chill out. And he leaves her tied to a stump or whatever. She manages to break free. He gets out of the water because he sees she's gone. And he's covered in leeches. He catches up to her. And what was it? Oh, he also he does kill 2 guys to break free. That's also how he does it. So he catches up to her, then rapes her. And he finds these weird looking plants that hold water. Eventually, they find Ralph, who's got this harsh infection on his knee. He gives Robert like a loincloth, and then they try to make their way back to the plane. They realize it's got some damage, but it'll be enough to get us out of here to some sort of civilization. They're trying to make their way back. They do encounter the natives at several points. Like, they take her first, and when they kill her, they hollow her out. They put like sticks in between her ribs. You see her all hollowed out. Decent effects. I will say the effects are well done. I would put it under Cannibal Holocaust, but still really decent effects. Oh, also, there's this one part where, right after he escapes and he's with her, they see this woman down by the water screaming. She's given birth, and it's not explained why. Either it was born at a wedlock or whatever. For whatever reason, and it must be a crime for how the baby was conceived. And I'm guessing it's because the baby was a girl, because it does show a close-up of how it's a girl. And she just tosses the baby in the water. Robert doesn't do anything. And, through implication, we see the crocodile come, and then we just see it kind of, it got the baby. So then, to jump back forward, and Ralph is like dying, like he has to be propped up, he's getting weaker and weaker, probably from the infection. So yeah, I mean, when the natives kill the Nova chick, I mean, they fucking kill it. Again, awesome effects. At one point, the two guys come across this cobra. And I guess Ralph is like the translator, or, he knows more about the area, but he says that the dialect is too different for him to try to communicate with them or her, so he doesn't even try. They come across this cobra, and he's able to milk the venom onto a stick, so they have some sort of weapon. And at one point, the natives come close, and Robert decides to have a match with, I don't know if it's the chief or just some guy, but he's got, like a stick with a rock that he sharpened on it. Robert's able to stab him near the neck, and within a few minutes he dies. And then Robert cuts the guy's heart, or he cuts something out, and he starts chewing on it in front of the natives. So they see, this one I'm capable of, show dominance. But I was always thinking, like, that cobra's venom was coursing through that guy's bloodstream, so isn't he kind of getting some at the same time? Unless it was like a kidney or something he pulled out and it got filtered. I don't know. But, also one other effect or crazy part was when he's first captured, we see a form of torture that they do with this one native criminal, I guess. They tie him to this thing, and they just make these cuts on his arm, which they put over an anthill, and the ants just swarm him and bite. I'm guessing his screaming was also meant to drive Robert crazy. So next time we see him, he's dead, and like from here to here, it's just nothing but the two arm bones, and there's just ants all over it. Picked him clean. I will say the skeletal remain effects are very similar to what you see in like Cannibal Holocaust, but I do like those effects. And like the bodies that they find did kind of look like the first body you see in like Night of the Living Dead. But again, I thought the effects were very well done in this. So yeah, after he gets in that duel, I guess, with the guy, the natives keep following him, and he pretty much has to carry Ralph now. They eventually make it to their plane, has a hard time starting, and then finally it starts. He takes off, and that's when Ralph dies in the back seat. And then through closed captions, we see that Robert spent 4 months in the hospital. He resigned from his job. He got married and lives with his family on a farm in Mexico. And it says in the beginning and the end that what we see are true events. I don't know if it's not some, and I'm not sure if it's like what we're seeing is a snuff film, or if this is what happened to these characters and it's like a reenactment. Either way, none of it's real or true. But that was one of the major selling points with these cannibal films. And I did enjoy this. I thought it was going to be another, I can't really say Cannibal Holocaust ripoff because it came out first, but I thought the story was very different enough. It's this escape, jungle adventure, survival film, which I did enjoy. I did appreciate that the animal deaths were more animal on animal, save for like that big crocodile scene. But of course, I don't know if it's Ruggero Deodato or just part of the genre or it being an Italian film, but you have the rape of a native. And I did think it was weird that she became more like the Nova mate after he raped her. Like, she even brings him like a tray of bugs, but he doesn't like them, so he spits them out. But yeah, there's not as many effects as, say, Holocaust or Ferox, but when they are there, they're really good effects. I mean, some of the weaker ones would be like when the bodies are first found and the cannibals are eating like those bodies, or the first to be killed, or like the guy with the ants. Those are like the weaker effects, but like when the Nova girl gets killed, that's a really strong effect. And I thought that, that's definitely one of the high points of the film. And also when Robert gets in that duel with the guy and kills him, and he pulls, some of his insides out. But yeah, I thought, all in all, this was a pretty enjoyable film. The shocking parts didn't feel like it was just there to shock or disturb or to be nasty, and it was so spread out throughout the film, and it really did feel more about the story of, okay, now he's captured, now he has to escape, now he has to make it back to his plane. It felt equally, it felt equal between the shock factor, shock value, and the actual story. And I thought the acting was fine, at least for this kind of film, both the acting and the dubbing. And I thought that the effects worked well. I mean, the good effects did outweigh the poor effects, and the amount that, thereof. There was more good effects than bad. But yeah, I really enjoyed Jungle Holocaust. I'll put this, I'm not sure how I feel about it ranked with Cannibal Ferox. I would say that one's just more fun in how over the top it is. Of course, it's not Cannibal Holocaust. That'll probably always be my favorite. But I did I just say Jungle and Cannibal Holocaust? Wow. Probably time to end this video. But Ruggero Deodato's Jungle Holocaust, I enjoyed. Thank you for watching.